Do from somewhere deep in the ship, Junpei suddenly heard the screeching of metal on metal. It was almost as if the ship were screaming. Would it really hold until the time limit was up? Already, D-deck was flooded. More like Dick deck, am I right? In the sudden silence, the only sound was a sad metal wail of the ship. Unsurprisingly, it was Lotus who spoke first. Why is that unsurprising? That's sexist. Well, what are you waiting for? We're wasting time. Why don't we hurry it up? As if a spell had been broken, the others all began to talk at once. You're right. We should get going. That's all we can do right now. 7. Seriously. Honestly, I was getting kind of sick of listening to you guys talk. You too, Santa? I have to find my brother. Wait, all of you. Let's just calm down and think about this. There has to be a way to get everyone out. There has to be. Right, Jumpy? Say something. Yeah, let's think. There's gotta be another way. His words sounded hollow and fake. Fine. Forget about it. I'll figure it out on my own. She spun around and ran toward Ace. Bleh. He had slumped down next to the bed when June grabbed his arm and pulled. Come on, Ace. Please stand up. We can't give up yet. We just have to sit down together and think about this. We'll figure out a way that we can all get out of here. Then it happened. Whomp. Oh no! Did he have a stroke? Ace fell forward. He slumped over onto the wooden floor, his body folded in half like a box out cold. That does not look like it's in half. Ace! June cried out and dropped to her knees beside him. She put her arm around his neck and did her best to lift him up. That sounds really unsafe. What happened, Ace? Say something. She shook him frantically. His eyes fluttered open. I'm red. His voice was weak and slightly slurred. How are you? Fine? He held out his left arm and slowly opened his hand. Ah, sweet Mexican black tar heroin. In it was a syringe and a small vial. The vial was empty. It had only recently been emptied. A few drops clung to the sides. There was a label taped to the side of the container. It read, Soparol Beta. Soparol Beta? Junpei had no idea what it meant, or what kind of medicine it might be. Did you use this? Yes. It's just anesthetic. I'll be fine. Anesthetic? I found it earlier, while we were searching the hospital rooms. Thought it might be useful later. I didn't think I'd be using it on myself. Why did you do this? Didn't I tell you? I like to take a nap. I really am very tired. Junpei knew that wasn't why he'd done it. Ace had injected himself with anesthetic to forestall Junpei and June's attempts to bring him along. If he couldn't move, there was nothing they could do. He'd injected himself so that they would be forced to leave him behind. Ace! Is there something you want to say? I'd just like to sleep a little. Could you keep it down? No, you asshole! Don't, Ace, don't fall asleep. You feel warm. Whoa! Easy there, killer. So comfortable. June, back up into my hand. Ace's eyelids drooped further and further, almost as though he were dying. Ace! Ace! She shook his shoulder again and again, but this time he didn't respond. Only the gentle rising and falling of his chest told them he was alive. Junpei was relieved as he was, in fact, still breathing. He lifted Ace up off the floor and laid him on the bed he'd been leaning against. When Junpei turned around, Lotus gave him a look of pity. Well, we really don't have a choice now. We can't let a sacrifice go to waste, right? She wasn't feeling any remorse. Junpei was sure of that. Still, he held no grounds upon which to oppose her. It felt wrong, but he had to agree. Then suddenly, Santa spoke. Yeah, but we're not done choosing yet, are we? Huh? What do you mean? Well, we haven't decided who's going in what door. Ah, yes. Yes, that's true. Well, enough of this screwing around. Let's decide. You first, Lotus. Which door do you want? I want door 8. It's the same number as my bracelet number. Got it. You're 8. You're next, 7. Which one do you want? I'll take 7. I can't get along with that old lady. What? What did you just say? Her face distorted by rage, Lotus took a step toward 7. He threw up his hands and made a face like a child cat with his hand in the cookie jar. You're going to get it next time. She shot him a glare that would have melted steel, then turned and stalked off. Alright, who's next? Santa's gaze moved across the 3 people left. Finally, they stopped on Junpei. Junpei, which door do you want? At last. Junpei's mind was already made up. I did play this yesterday. The audio got messed up, and I chose door 3. And I'm going to choose it again because of something in particular. I'm going to go through door number 3. No, you can't. Huh? Why? Because it's impossible. If we split ourselves into 3 and 3, then we give up on going through door 3. Why? The bracelet numbers for the 6 of us are 3 through 8. There are 2 combinations that can go through door 3 with 3 people. 3, 4, 5, or 6, 7, 8. That's it. Of course, 2 teams can't go through the same door. I see. That means one team would get left behind. That's right. That doesn't happen if we go through door 7 or 8? No, they're fine. We got 3 options. Santa began to explain. Plan A, go through door 7 with 3, 5, 8, and go through door 8 with 4, 6, 7. Plan B, go through door 7 with 4, 5, 7, and go through door 8 with 3, 6, 8. Plan C, go through door 7 with 3, 6, 7, go through door 8 with 4, 5, 8. I can see the value of being with Clover and 7 and with Clover and Lotus. But I don't know. So, I think those are the only 3 options. That's it. At least, if we want to get all 6 of us out of here. That was when Junpei realized. Plan A divides into 2 teams. 3, 5, 8, and 4, 6, 7. Plan B divides, yep. June and Junpei won't be together, we get it. There's one thing they all had in common. In every single combination, 5 and 6 were never on the same team. In other words, if all 6 people were to move forward, Junpei and June would be separated. June and Junpei had been friends when they were kids. He trusted her more than anyone else on the ship. I don't see why. If he chose 7 or 8, he'd be taken away from her. Is that something he was prepared to do? Anyway, that's the deal, so think it over. You've got 2 choices, 7 or 8. You can't choose 3. Choose 3, you're going to be leaving 3 people behind to die. So what are you going to do? 7 or 8, time to choose. Junpei thought hard. His conclusion was, and this is why I chose 3, because I was like, what does this do? Sorry, Santa, but I still want to go through door 3. What? That's nuts. You gotta be crazy. Why the hell are you so obsessed with that door? Junpei paused. He swallowed the words he'd been about to say. I'm just curious about door 3, that's all. That doesn't explain shit. I've got a reason. I'd be happy to explain it to you if you'll just come with me. With that, he began walking toward the door. Their curiosity likely got the better of them. The others followed. A few of them looked a little suspicious, but Junpei told himself that wouldn't matter. He kept walking and kept silent. Eventually, they arrived at the number 3 door. Junpei stopped. I'm curious about the red. 7, would you mind authenticating for me? Huh? Why? Please, just do it. He stared at Junpei for a moment, then grunted and laid his palm heavily on the scanner. Happy? Yeah, thanks. The number 7 had been entered into the red. Next is June. Please touch the red just like 7 did. Jumpy, what are you trying to figure out? Junpei thought about his answer for a moment. I think I might have found another way out. Huh? What? Really? I got them excited, just as Junpei had intended. Now please, June. Okay. Yep. Those 2 numbers in the red, Junpei had what he wanted. He casually placed his own hand on the scanner, and the 3rd asterisk blinked on. Alright. The only people who haven't authenticated now are Santa, Clover, and Lotus. So, what's your point? You don't get it? Think about it. What's the sum of your number in Clover's? 12? What's the digital root of that? 3? What's your Santa's number? By the way, Lotus, what's a number that's currently in the red? That would be 9, right? Yes. And what will the digital root be if you add 3 to that? 3. The door's number. There you go. Hey, wait a minute. What the hell are you up to? I'm not up to anything. I'm just waiting. Waiting for what? Waiting for the balance to shift. Santa, or Lotus and Clover. Once one of you moves, the others won't have a choice. So I'm waiting. Junpei laid his hand almost casually on the lever. You son of a bitch! You tricked us! Then all that stuff you were going on about was all bullshit? Bullshit? I don't think so. Didn't I tell you I'd figured another way to get out of here? This is it. Why the hell would you do something like this? Junpei glanced at June. Jumpy. You did this just so you could go through the same door as June? That's it? Santa was furious. His face was red, and flecks of spit flew from his lips as he spoke. Junpei closed his eyes calmly, and then opened them again. So who's it gonna be? Santa? Or Lotus and Clover? Shit! We're going! Clover? Lotus leapt forward. She grabbed Clover by the sleeve and ran for Junpei in the door. Caught by surprise, Santa froze for a moment, then shot forward like a bullet from a gun. Lotus had a head start, but Santa had the advantage in size and speed. Almost immediately, he passed Lotus and Clover. No! Wait! Santa did not hesitate. Urgh! He slammed his hand down on the red. This is insane! This isn't right! He glared at Junpei, his chest heaving. Well, you may be right. Junpei's voice was cold, but not without effort. He turned to the red and pulled the lever. The sound of metal on metal, the door opened. It only remained so for 9 seconds. There was no time to think. Go! Junpei and his 3 reluctant companions jumped into the door's gaping mouth, one after another. No sooner did they enter than an all too familiar noise sounded from their left wrists. Their detonators had activated. Junpei looked back only once and saw Lotus and Clover on the other side of the closing door. They stood still, stopped where they had been when Santa reached the red. The defeat and desperation on their faces tore at Junpei's heart. Then the door closed and they were gone. You son of a bitch, Junpei! This isn't fair! Santa rounded on Junpei, lightning crackling in his eyes and his knuckles white. You realize what you just did? You leave him out there to die, and they can't... Oh. Shut it! That's enough. It hadn't been Junpei that spoke, but 7. We gotta find the dead, or none of this is gonna matter. The clock was ticking. The dead was the only chance at survival. Unless they could find it and deactivate their detonators, the 4 of them would be. We got less than a minute left. No time for screwing around. Get moving. They scattered and began to scour the room. The deactivation device was nowhere to be found. Corridors stretched out in 3 directions, but everyone was blocked off by a wall of metal. There was only one way out. One other door. There! 7 ran for the door, a rusty iron thing. His large hands grabbed hold of the handle and pulled. The room inside was pitch black. They could see nothing beyond the small patch of light that spilled through the doorway. Junpei stuck his head through the door and looked around the room. Almost immediately, he spotted the blinking red light on the right wall. I found it! The dead's right over here! He stepped into the room. Shit. And nearly fell down. The floor was slippery. What? He stopped and glanced down at his feet. What was... Hey, what the hell are you doing? Get over there! Junpei felt 7's heavy hand against his back and stumbled across the room. The other 3 piled in behind him. They all felt immediately that something was wrong. Nothing that could be easily identified, only a sense that something terrible shared the room with them. But there was no time to say so. Quick! Get to the dead! They all started running. In the dark, it was hard to tell where the wall was. All they could see was a tiny red light blinking at them over and over and over. Then finally, suddenly, they were there. In quick succession, they all slammed their hands against the scanner panel. Phew. Seven leaned against the wall, gulping air. As his breathing began to return to normal, he glanced at his left wrist and grunted. Ugh. It stopped. It stopped. And we're stopping too. So I'm gonna holler at you tomorrow, dog.